Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to use Google Forms, specifically how to create a test or a quiz using the quiz mode in Google Forms, then how to auto grade that, how to view your results, and then ultimately how to give that quiz to your students in using a secure testing app so that they're not able to go to other sites while they're taking your quiz or test in Google Forms. So let's get started. I found this website that just has a "Could you pass the middle school social studies today?" Quiz, with just some basic questions for middle school social studies. So we're going to recreate this quiz. I like it because it also has questions with pictures, which is something that you can do in Google Forms that a lot of people don't know or just don't utilize that often. So we'll recreate this quiz. First thing that I'm going to do then is go to Google Forms. So I can get there either by opening a new tab and going to my Rubik's Cube. Scroll down if yours isn't at the top, right? And you're looking for the purple one, Forms. Alternatively, you can just go to forms.google.com and that'll take you to the exact same place. So you can create a blank form. You might want to use that for just a survey or a questionnaire, or if it was an assignment you're giving students that you weren't necessarily going to grade. Alternatively, you can choose a blank quiz if this is something that you know you're going to assign points and make into a quiz that you want to be automatically graded. Now just know that if you do go and choose a blank document, you can just switch it over to quiz mode anyway, so it actually doesn't matter ultimately whether you choose a blank document or a blank quiz. So I'll show you how to do that. I'll just go ahead and choose a blank document. All right, so first thing you want to do is give your form a title. So this says, "Can you pass this middle school social studies?" Okay, we'll just call this middle school social studies quiz. Are you smarter than a fifth grader in social studies? Now, that is the title of my quiz, right? But the title of this form, you can see up here, is still untitled. So if I were to look for this in my Google Drive, it would be called Untitled Form still, and you don't want to leave anything left as untitled because it'll be really hard to find it later on if you have a whole bunch of things called untitled. So all you need to do to name it is just click right there, and you see it just took the title that we typed there and pulled it up there. Now, of course, if you want to change it to something specific like period 3, you can do that, right? You can change it to whatever you want, but if you just click right here, it'll pull whatever you typed in there. All right, so I like to start giving a little description or instructions. So okay, so whatever your directions are right there. All right, and so now we're all set to start actually building the quiz itself. So we've got untitled question. That's where we're going to type our first question, and then underneath that is where we put our options or the answer choices for our students. One thing I should mention before we get started on that is that if you're creating quizzes that you want to auto grade, you're really only going to be able to do that with things that have one correct answer. So like multiple choice questions or drop-down menu questions, questions that you can say in advance, like B is the correct answer, so that Google Forms knows that if they put A, C, or D, then they got that question wrong, but if they put B, they got that question right. If that makes sense. It's not gonna, in other words, it can't grade an essay question, right? Because we're not quite there yet. So for free-form type of questions, essay questions, or short responses in which the answers might vary from student to student, those are still going to have to be graded manually. But it's still really helpful to be able to auto-grade your multiple choice or matching type questions so that you can get those done automatically, and then you only have to look at the one or two short answer essay questions that you put on the quiz. So let's get started. So here's the quiz. Question number 1, I'm just going to do some copying and pasting. Political map of North America. Go back to our form, paste that. And then for option 1, notice that they had pictures for their responses. We had, right, option 1 here and option 2. Which one of these is a political map of North America? So to put pictures as your answer choices, right, this is my first answer choice. Notice I've got the icon right over here for an image. And if I scroll over it or hover over it, it says add image. So just click there. And then you could have images already saved in your Google Drive, or maybe you have them saved on your computer and you could just upload them. But typically, I'm going to guess that you don't have all the pictures that you need immediately already saved in your drive. So I'm just going to go ahead and search for them. So I can do that right here by clicking search. And I'm just going to literally type that or paste that question in again. What is a political map of North America? And see what we get. Okay. See what I want for South America. All right, I'm not seeing. Change the question. Let's try to see if they've got one for the USA. Okay. This will work. We'll just call this one the political map of the USA. So I'm going to use this one. So I've just modified the question slightly. I'm sure if I kept looking, I could have found one of North America, but for the sake of being brief, we'll just choose that one. All right, give it half a moment, and it'll appear here. And then I'm going to go on to the next question, or the next answer choice, option 2. That's what pops in automatically is option 2, but you can change that. Scroll over to where the add image icon, and the other one we were looking for was a physical map USA. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. I click, I see the check mark, I go down to select, give it just a moment, and there's my physical map. And then if you want to change option 1 to say like A or B, you can do that as well. And if you wanted to add other options on there, C's and D's, you could do that too. But I'm just going to copy this one exactly. All right, so that's question 1. Question 2. Today there are 50 states in the Union, which is not a state. Copy that. I'm going to use the plus sign here to add a question. And then I'll paste in that question. Today there are 50 states, blah, blah, blah. And then the answers again had pictures for them. And notice that it automatically chose multiple choice as the option here. It just kind of reads it and makes its best guess as to what kind of question you're asking. So in this case, it is correct, but it's not always going to be correct. Maybe it chose multiple choice, but you really wanted it to be a drop-down or a checkbox or some other type of question, right? Know that you can, of course, change those, but I'm going to leave it as multiple choice because that is what I want. All right, so I got the question, and the first answer, we got Maine, so I'll find a picture of Maine. I'm just copying, and then, again, option 1, I'll put add image, search, and I'm just going to type in Maine and see what we get. I don't know if I'm going to get the same pictures. That looks almost the same. So I'll click on it, select, and then I'll do the same thing for B. Remember, Hawaii, Puerto Rico. So Hawaii. I don't know. I don't remember what the picture looked like, so we'll go with that one. And for this, it had the actual, it wrote the name of the state on there, so I'm going to do that. So we got Maine, Hawaii, the other one was Puerto Rico, so that's option 3. I'll go ahead and Puerto Rico and add image. Okay, we'll say that one. And then the last one was Rhode Island. Paste Rhode Island, find a picture, search, Rhode Island. So let's say that that's Rhode Island. All right, and that's it for question 2. I'm going to go here to the plus sign, add another question. Now this one has a picture in the question itself, not just as the question options. So I'm going to go down here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to copy the question. I'm going to paste there. And notice then, instead of choosing the add image icon down in the choices, I'm going to add image next to the question itself. So right there. right? Previously, we were doing it down in the options. This time, we're going to put it up with the question itself. What did that look like? Okay. Search for something. I believe that's what it was. Okay, so my images aren't necessarily going to be exact. If I searched a little bit more specifically, maybe I would find exactly what I was looking for, but this is close enough. And then what are the choices that I get? I get papyrus, hemp, and birch. So I will go ahead and add those in the options: papyrus, hemp, and birch. And once again, notice that it automatically chose multiple choice for me, and again, that is what I wanted. Next question, number 4. Today's two which were the first two formed in the U.S. Okay, copy the question, plus sign to add a question, paste. And again, this one had the picture up with the question itself. So, and that looked like it was a picture with, I don't know, people with flags. Ultimately, I guess it doesn't matter. Yes. All right. We'll do that. Got our picture. I'm just going to do some copying and pasting here. And notice that what I'm doing is I'm just creating the quiz, and this is just a personal preference thing. I'm creating the quiz, and then I'm going to go back and assign points and tell Google Forms which one is the correct answer at the end. That's just how, if you want to do it, you know, question by question, tell Google Forms which is the correct answer, and give points for each question. You can certainly do that. This is just, I prefer just make the quiz questions and then go back and assign points and the correct answer for each one. Okay. All right, and this is basically just kind of repetitive. So I'll make this one my last question of this quiz because they're really just following the same pattern. Question or plus sign, paste the question. All right, the picture was with the question, so I'm going to choose the picture option there. And of course, the pictures are optional. I mean, they make your quiz look much nicer. And you can see it's not really taking me that much more time to do it, but you certainly don't have to do it. So we got desert and camels in that picture. That looks close enough to me. And Gobi, Sahara. Gobi, Sahara. Okay, and there we go. So now we've got our quiz. Now at any point when you want to see like how is this quiz going to actually look like for the students, you can click the little eyeball up here and get a little preview. And this is how it'll look to your students. And it is different. Like these are horizontal, right? You've got 2 across for your questions. So this is how it will actually look when your students take it. That is beautiful. Okay, so I'll just X out of that because that was just my preview. While I'm up there, I'll show you how to change colors if that's something that you like to do. All right, you got your color options there. You can put header images of anything you want. They give you a whole bunch of different choices to choose from, but you can also upload your own photos if you've got some in Google Drive, whatever. So you can change, of course, the kind of the whole look of your forms as well. I'll put mine back. They got some font options as well, very basic. I honestly don't really recommend using these other ones. To me, they're a little too much. I prefer just the basic one. That's just me. Okay, so we've made our quiz. Now we want to assign points for each question and tell Google Forms which one is correct. So if you remember at the beginning of this video, instead of choosing blank quiz, let me show you that really quickly. Instead of choosing blank quiz, I just chose a blank form, right? So right now mine is not an auto-grading quiz. So if I would have chosen blank quiz, then I would see an option down here to add the answer key and assign point values and so forth. But I don't see that, right? That's okay, because sometimes you may just make a blank form and then you realize, oh, I chose the wrong one. That's fine. All you need to do is go up to the little gear icon and quizzes, and we're going to make this one a quiz. Now, I want to come back to some of these options because they are kind of important. These are the defaults, right? But I'm going to come back to this and kind of explain why you might want to make some changes to these in a moment. So for now, I'm just going to click Save. And now you can see, now I get that answer key option and all of my questions. And you go ahead on each of the questions, and you'll see that answer key option. Okay, so I'll click on that. Click on it? There we go. So how many points do you want to give this question? You can assign different questions, different numbers of points. I think I had 5 questions. Let's say this is a 10-point quiz. So I'll assign this one 2 points. And which one is the correct answer, which is a political map. So I'm going to tell Google Forms that that's the correct answer. And that's it for the first one. You can also, I should add, you can add answer feedback as well. So if they get the incorrect answer, you might want to say, let's look up I'm just Googling political map definition, right, from World Atlas. And this kind of might help explain to a student again, what is a political map, right? Maybe there are better explanations. I just did a quick search, right? So this is feedback I'm going to give them if they enter the incorrect answer. And of course, they're not going to get that feedback until after they've submitted the quiz. I can include links. I can also include YouTube video links as well. So if there's a video that kind of explains in a concept, you can include that as well. And that's really helpful because especially if it's not like a summative exam and the purpose is for them to actually be learning the content, you're just trying to gauge what do they know, and if they don't know it, to give them the information to help them learn it or relearn it. And then maybe at a later point they can take that quiz again and hopefully do better the next time. So this is something that's really nice. So that is if it's the incorrect answer. If they have the correct answer, you could say "way to go" or something like that. Or you can also still add some additional information via link or YouTube video as well. So this is something that's really nice for giving students feedback and also directing them to where they can, relearn a concept if they haven't quite gotten there yet. So I'll go ahead and save that. There's my feedback. And now I am ready for the next question. I'm going to click on answer key. Again, this one is 2 points. Click on Puerto Rico as the correct answer. I'm not going to add feedback for all of these just because I see this video is getting quite long, but Puerto Rico state. But just so you get a sense of kind of what I might do. Maybe you don't prefer to use Wikipedia, but I think it's pretty good, right? Something like this, right? And so I'll add, I'm not going to add feedback to the rest of them just to be a little bit quicker in this video, but hopefully you see the value in that. Okay, next question. Click. Answer key, 2 points. Correct answer. Move on to the next one. Click on it. Answer key, 2 points. Oh dear. I think that's the answer. Okay, next question. Click on it. Answer key. Assign it 2 points. Like I said, you can give different questions different numbers of points. That's completely up to you. All right, and there we go. We've got our 5 questions with points assigned. Right, we've got our preview. Looks how we want. Super. So now let's say we want to send this quiz out. There are several ways you can send quizzes by clicking the send button, right? You got sending via email, so you can send it to somebody or students directly via email, but if you're sending it to your whole class, this is typically not going to be your best option. You can send by a link, You can embed it in a website, which unless you have a website, that one's not going to be particularly useful. But also you have the option of including that in Google Classroom. So if I were, let's go to Google Classroom. And this is probably what you would use most frequently. Now I know I had said I was going to show you how to video in a secure testing mode, which is a kiosk option that's available on Chromebooks, but that is something that would take at least an additional 10 or 15 minutes of video time, and this video is getting quite long, so I'm really just going to get to the point here and show you how to put this in Google Classroom. So I'm going to go to Classwork in my Google Classroom, and I'm going to go Create. And this is just, I'm going to make this just an assignment. If I chose to make it a quiz assignment, you would see that it's going to automatically put a blank quiz in there. But since we've already made a quiz, right, I can just choose a normal assignment. Or I can just X out that quiz and put in the quiz that I want. Right? There's multiple ways of doing these things. But I'm going to go to quiz, I'm going to go to assignment, and let's say this was a middle school SS quiz, something like this. How many points? This was actually only 10 points, I believe this quiz was. I'm going to give this a topic of social studies. Due date, let's say it is due today, it's a quiz. And next I need to attach the quiz itself. Of course, I like to put some instructions. So open the quiz attached below and try your best. Right? So this is a Google form, so we're going to attach this through Google Drive, which is the triangle icon. Now, if it's something you've worked on recently, you'll have this recent, it'll be in your recent quizzes, so it should pop right up. So here's ours straight away. If it's a quiz you created like a week or a month ago, you may need to search through your Drive and find it, right? But since we've worked on this just a few moments ago, it's in my recents, and so I'm going to add it right there. And then I would simply assign. Okay, the very last thing I'm going to do before I end this video that has gotten way longer than I anticipated is just kind of give you a quick look at what this looks like. So, which is a political map of North America? We said it was A. Okay. Today there are 50 states in the Union, which is not a state. Let's go ahead and get this question wrong. So let's choose Y. We said that one. This one, we don't. Go ahead and get that one wrong too. And choose that. Okay, so we've got a couple right, we've got a couple wrong. I'm the student taking this test. I don't know how I've done yet, so keep in mind, once I click there, I didn't get the feedback straight away, right? So I'm going to submit that test. And now immediately I can see my score, right? So this is a student, what they will see. They can instantly view their score and they can see that they've got a 6 out of 10, right? So they can see they got that one correct. Oh, they got this one wrong. Right, and we can see the feedback, that link to the 51st state to show them that Puerto Rico was the answer. Right, they got our positive feedback here for way to go because they got that one correct. They got that one. I didn't put any feedback for these other ones. Right, so you can see instantly what questions they got right, which questions they got wrong, what was the correct answer. Right, so the reason I want to show you that is because this is super helpful in some situations. Right? If this was just a quick quiz to see how did they understand their reading, how did they understand yesterday's lesson, something like that. But keep in mind, if this were like a big summative test, you know, that you had been prepping for the whole unit, and well, you just might not want the students to immediately have access to all the answers for this test, right? And they can also have all of the questions on their computer. So once they hit that submit button, now they still can see all of the questions that were asked on that quiz later on because they're essentially opening the quiz again, if that makes sense. So if you, I'll just give you an example, if the students took the quiz, viewed the results, and then walked out of your classroom, they could very easily just pass this on to somebody from another class to see. So that's the reason why I wanted to point this out, is if this were a big test that you did not want students to immediately get feedback on, so that they didn't immediately have access to all the questions that were on the quiz and they didn't immediately have all the correct answers, then you would want to change that option that I showed you before, which is here in the gear and quizzes. And here you would want to, instead of releasing the grade immediately after the student submits, you would want to do it later after manual review. And that means that, say, after each one of your periods has taken the test, or after each student from your class has taken the test, right, including kids who may have been absent that day, then you can release the quiz with the grades and all the answers. And so that's just something important to keep in mind, because if you have 3 students who are absent on a given day and you release all the answers immediately after the student submits, they now have that test essentially with all the correct answers on their computer, and they can pass that on to anybody else. Whereas if you choose the option to release the grade later on, then you're hanging on to that, and the students aren't able to see the quiz or the answers on their computers after they've submitted it. Hopefully that makes sense. You also want to keep in mind that if you have an essay question, then you definitely also want to choose later, because you are going to need to grade that essay question manually. Right? And then of course you have the choice. Do you want students to be able to see the missed question, the correct answers, and the point values for each one? That again is going to depend on what you want students to see. But do keep in mind, do you want students to immediately get feedback and see that quiz, or do you want to hang on to it until later? And that's really just going to depend on what kind of quiz or test it is. Okay, I think that this has been long enough. Hopefully this helps you get going in creating quizzes and tests. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, just let me know.